We're gay!
And we almost didn't see you there. I'm a lady.
And I'm not a whore!
And
welcome to a gay old time!
Carol, I love your dress.
Oh, thank you. It's from Versace.
Don't you mean Versace?
No, I mean Versace. You know Versace. You haven't seen Showgirls? The sleaziest movie of all time? Oh. Well, when it comes to sleazy movies, Catherine, you don't know shit! Disclaimer before we start this movie. This movie is not for kids, and therefore this video is not either. Also, we are going to talk about some serious subjects that come up in this room, such as sex, and also including sexual assault. We are not going to go into deep detail about it, but it is in this movie, and therefore we are going to mention it. Also, there is an abundance of nudity in this movie, so just be prepared for that.
Free the nipple!
Free the nipple.
We begin on the side of a highway with the beautiful and mysterious Nomi, who's trying to hitch a ride. Within seconds, she's sitting in Jeff's truck. Yee-haw. Jeff tries to start something with Nomi, but we quickly learn she's one tough cookie. Next thing you know, we're in Vegas, baby.
The city is fun, bright, and the perfect distraction for Nomi as Jeff takes off with her suitcase. Nomi takes out her frustration on a stranger's car. This stranger, Molly, pulls Nomi out of traffic, cleans up her vomit, buys her dinner, and takes her into her own home. Because Nomi can't do anything for herself.
It's 6 weeks, and all of a sudden Nomi and Molly are the best of friends. Giggle. All they do is sit around and eat chips, yet they still look amazingly fit. It's bring your roommate to work day, so Molly takes Nomi on a tour of the backstage of Goddess, the hottest show in town where she does wardrobe.
Nomi sneaks in on the performance and is inspired by all the pageantry. She's then introduced to the star, Crystal Connors. Crystal is southern, glamorous, and won't give Nomi the time of day.
Where do you dance at, darling?
At the Cheetah.
I don't know how good you are, darling, and I don't know what it is you're good at. But if it's at the Cheetah, it's not dancing, I know that much.
You don't know shit!
Molly cheers her friend up with a trip to the club, where Nomi fucks everything up by kicking a guy she meets in the nuts for telling her she can't dance.
This lands Nomi in jail, and sore nuts guy, James, bails her out. Nomi thanks him and gets the hell home.
Nomi goes to her dancing job at the Cheetah, a sleazy strip club, and who should be in the audience but Crystal and her lover, Zach.
Okay, and now for this next scene, we're gonna play a little game called How Many Bleeps Can We Fit in One Video? So Nomi takes Crystal and Zach backstage, and Crystal watches as Nomi rubs her against Zach's. Nomi gets completely naked and like touches herself kind of weird. It's all like, ooh, and touches her and she touches her little legs and she touches her little and it's all like real weird. And then Crystal's all like, oh, I like that. And then she snorts cocaine. It's like, oh, I want to that girl. I want to that girl. And then James is backstage watching her, who's also like, I want to that girl too. I want to right. And then Zach is just like, I also want, indeed want to this girl in the I don't know. They do this weird thing where like he like all inside of her, we think.
No.
But also it's like through his pants.
He doesn't impregnate her.
Well, he doesn't impregnate her, but it is like weirdly we don't know for sure.
Wrong. I mean, I feel like if we asked
that
a
is like
reproductive doctor, they'd be like,
but
no,
the common consensus
work.
for that scene is that that's what happens. Like on the internet, that's what everyone says.
Well, I don't think there are any gynecologists on that thread, okay?
Okay. And then Nomi's like, ooh, I'm gonna rub my right up against this little I'm gonna rub it, yeah. He's all like, oh, and she's all like, oh, and then everyone's happy, and it's a sex scene as if written by someone who's never had sex.
James tracks Nomi back to her place to tell her she's got potential as a real dancer.
And educate her about STDs.
Man, everybody got AIDS and shit.
Nomi ignores this and carries on at her work, until a businessman, who may or may not have been sent by Crystal, offers her an audition for Goddess.
The audition is cutthroat. Girls can be sent home for just about anything. Nomi survives cut, but loses her cool when asked to harden her nipples with ice.
Nomi is humiliated, and Crystal couldn't be more pleased. Much to Nomi's surprise, she booked it. She heads down to Goddess's main offices to accept the role.
Nice dress.
Thanks. I bought it at Versace.
Nomi starts rehearsal and nails the choreo within seconds. The choreo team works her out.
Thrust it! Thrust it! Come on, thrust it! Bob!
Will Nomi go on in a week? No! She's going on tonight.
Her debut goes off without a hitch, but she's called back the next day for more rehearsal. When she shows up to an empty theater, Crystal invites her out to an intense lunch.
Do you like brown rice and vegetables?
Yeah,
You do.
sort of.
Really?
It's worse than dog food. It is.
I've had dog food.
You have?
Mm-hmm. Long time ago. Doggy chow. Oh, I used to love doggy chow.
I used to love doggy chow too.
Zach helps Nomi out of a weird situation with her boss. Or so Nomi thinks. Nomi decides to reward him with sex.
This next scene happens at Zach's pool. Nomi looks right into Zach's eyes and says, I like the way you I like your eyes. And then Zach is into that. Zach's like, I'm gonna Nomi. And they're like, we're gonna each other. So she takes off her clothes and reveals her for the millionth time. And her and the audience is just like, oh my gosh, we've seen this so many times it doesn't even faze us anymore. But then we see a man's we see Zach's and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a man. And all the gays and the women in the audience are like, finally. And then Zach gets into the pool and he brings champagne with him. Nomi goes in the pool too and they pour champagne all over her little and then he licks her and it's all like, oh, and she's all like, ooh. And then Zach is just like, we're gonna have horrible sex in this pool. Nomi's just all like, ooh, and then she's like flailing around like a madman. She's all like, oh, and then Zach's all like, oh, and then he's like thrusting at her, but he's like thrusting at her like belly button, and he's nowhere near her. We don't know how. I guess he's just like throwing his at her, and she's getting way too into it.
Maybe he has a really high.
Yes, we get to have horrible pool sex. Yay! And then they have and then he and then we go to the next morning.
Zach offers Nomi an audition for Crystal's understudy, which she books.
Crystal learns of Zach and Nomi's rendezvous and makes Nomi lose the job out of jealousy. In a fury, Nomi pushes Crystal down a flight of stairs.
Nomi is unveiled as the new headliner for Goddess. It was a long 2 weeks, but she finally made it.
A big lavish party is thrown in her honor. Molly is there to support her and meets Andrew Carver, a famous singer. This is around the point in the movie that we recommend hitting the skip button. The fucking audacity.
Cut to the hospital, where Nomi wants to phone the police. Zach stops her with the threat of exposing her past.
Your father killed your mother, then killed himself. Arrests. Denver, soliciting. San Jose, soliciting. Cheyenne, soliciting. Shall I read you the rest of them?
I'm not a whore.
No. You're not. You're gonna be a big star.
But silencing sexual predators, beating them up and looking hot while doing it.
Nomi is back on the run, but stops at the hospital to say her goodbyes.
I gotta go.
Aren't you gonna come here and give me a big kiss?
She says goodbye to Vegas and hello to good old Jeff. She reveals to Jeff and the audience that at some point she apparently found herself. Whenever that happened.
So now we are going to rate this movie on 3 categories. What's the first category, Catherine?
Is it good?
No!
A resounding
No, it's horrible. It is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. Woo! First of all, I mean, it's shockingly misogynistic, right?
Yeah. I mean, shockingly is like you know it's gonna. I don't even know. Sometimes
But even for a movie called Showgirls with that poster, it is like still kind of surprising how much this person seems to have never met a woman.
It doesn't surprise me, is I think what I'm trying to say. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
In a movie that is so focused on sex, the sex scenes are just ridiculous. They're just so over the top. They're just like flailing around like crazy. It's just, this movie is horrible. It's misogynist. Oh, and it's also racist. We should add that.
Yeah, they really abuse all of their black characters.
Yeah.
That should be said. They're really all there to like support and empower Nomi. And when they're not doing that, they're often being abused in some way.
Yeah. And then also like, every single character in this movie besides Molly is like a horrible person.
Yeah.
Like, they're all horrible people, except for Molly, and we all know what happened to Molly. So what is your main problems with this movie, Catherine?
No one's mascara runs when they get wet. I would like that. I would like introspection, too. Because at the end of the movie, Nomi's like, no, the guy is like, what did you win? And Nomi's like, me. I think they're trying to imply that when she beat up Andrew, that was when she found herself.
Oh, but we gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun to talk about, but yeah, there's a very, it's gonna be rough to talk about. So you can skip here if you like, about 120 seconds later. But there is a very exploitative rape scene of Molly, and I think it fits into what this movie is perfectly, because they're trying to write about these issues that women have, especially in Vegas, while exploiting those very issues for entertainment.
And then, what happens right after, this is the main thing that, this is the thing, this is actually what I was talking about, is that, so Nomi's like, we need to call the cops on this guy. And then Zach is like, the fact that Zach is just like, no, you're not going to call the cops because I'm going to release you to the police. And you're thinking, oh, Nomi, maybe she'll do this selfless thing and it will be about her journey and she'll have learned something.
You thought.
But nope. Nope. Nomi's just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just kick this guy a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just like, I'm going to beat this guy up and he might have a black eye for a couple days.
Nomi's already about to skip town with no ties. So she really, nothing bad would have happened to her if she had just killed him. It's sort of like she beats him up and then she's like, and don't do it again. Yeah. And that's his punishment.
Yeah. And Nomi is also just a selfish and horrible character throughout this whole movie. The entire movie. And they try to make it so that, oh, see, but she has friends, but she uses her friends constantly and just tosses them out. And this movie just expects us to like her because she's the main character, but they don't do anything to make us like her. She treats everyone like horrible, especially the 2 black characters in this movie. She treats them like crap. She just uses them and then tosses them out. It's just it's not good. It's just not good. Oh, and then there's also, forced lesbian, sexual tension that...
Forced.
Yeah, well, but it was not in there for the lesbians.
Oh, no.
So, Catherine, is this movie entertaining?
Fuck yes.
It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
Do not watch this movie by yourself, first of all. You will not enjoy it the same way. And watch it, like, ideally with a cocktail. How did this movie ever get made? And
I know how.
I know how too.
Society.
We do live in a society, don't we? This is also a movie where if people like it for the wrong reasons, like, that is a major red flag. I do not enjoy this movie because it is a good depiction of womanhood or anything like that. This movie is just ridiculous.
If anything, enjoy it for being a terrible depiction of womanhood. Like, treat it like it's a black comedy.
Now, the only thing that brings this entertainment down is that one freaking scene. And everyone knows, like, it's just that one scene. So here's what you do. You skip it. When you watch this movie, it's very clear when it happens. If you skip to the next scene, you'll get the picture. And you don't have to watch that, because who wants that? The rest of this movie has a tone that's just so ridiculous. People are just crazy. Nomi always talks like she's like, you know, there's one scene where Nomi is supposed to be high on cocaine. Molly's like, are you high? And she's like, maybe a little. But the thing is that in the entire movie, she acts like she just took a whole bunch of ecstasy. She's just like, ah, the whole time. She's like, ah.
Yeah, I really think that was their attempt at trying to show, like, a trauma survivor and how she's erratic, but it just doesn't...
It doesn't work at all. You know, it's really weird to think about what the writers were going for and, like, blatantly missed at. You know, they were trying to make a movie like, look at about how we abuse, like, women, and then they
I'm looking at it.
Yes, it's just like, it's just insane. But yeah, go watch it. Watch it.
So Carol, on a scale of 0 to 6, where does this rate on the Kinsey scale?
Okay, so this one's hard. In execution, 6. In intention, 0.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we even need to say anything? Did we cover it?
Yeah, it's just, like, this movie is just so glittery and ridiculous and campy, so it feels super gay, but also, like, it's very clearly, like, written by men who are like, oh, this is, like, you know...
The demographic is straight men. If anything, that's the best thing about this movie, is that it was made for straight men, and it's now for, like, women and queer men. So it's kind of reclamatory. No, it's not kind of, it's just, it is, it's for us now, so.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous movie, looking at ridiculous things that is just really fun to make fun of.
Oh, and, it's not for people like me, but there's a lot of lesbian tension throughout the whole movie, so it's there are technically, you know, some gay
super
scenes.
Yes. And they even kiss, so, yeah. And now it's time for Catherine to connect this movie to All About Eve.
You knew it was coming. So, it's the same relationship between Margot and Eve and Crystal and Nomi, but I don't think they were trying to recreate it so much as I think both movies are in the same universe, and it's like Margot is the great-great-great-grandmother, and there have been generations over, you know, so it's like Margot, Eve, Phoebe, and it's just trickled down into Vegas.
At strippers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where we are now. It started on Broadway, and it ended at, what's the name of the strip club?
The Cheetah.
Yeah. Yeah. God knows where it is now.
Oh, God. So, Catherine, what did you win? Oh.
This has been another episode of A Gay Old Time.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us what movies you want us to review. As long as it's queer, we'll still be here.